First, let me just say on behalf of the shareholders of the three companies which I have responsibility for, the container port, the harbor, and the airport, I just want to give, firstly, their regards to you and to also citizens of Grand Bahama, particularly the Hutchison interest, as you've heard from Sarah, who's also our partners in the harbor and the airport, and along with TIL, another company, along with Hutchison in the container port. They've all been tremendously good in the aftermath of this hurricane. It is certainly an unprecedented event, none the likes that I think any of us has ever seen before. We always knew that there would be issues with hurricanes in some of our business. I think you are well aware, and it's been documented, what happened to the container port in the last Hurricane Matthew, or the last big Hurricane Matthew. And surprisingly, we weathered most of it in this particular hurricane. As was noted earlier, the container port is fully operational. All 700 employees are still engaged. We have a queue of ships waiting. There's 2 of them, I believe, out there now waiting. So there's no shortage of confidence or work at the container terminal. What is the issue, and what could never be predicted on after these hurricanes, is what in the aftermath, what happens. We will continuously have ups and downs with equipment. No one can predict what 185-mile-per-hour wind does with electronics and controls and giant key cranes, straddle carriers, and we are seeing that effect today. While we are operational, we are slightly down on the capabilities of the equipment simply because of the intermittency of the weathering effect on the equipment. But we're battling it through it, and as we will learn that the supply chain is affected in some way, so it limits our abilities for parts, and the equipment or the parts need to restart the repairs as soon as we would. But we're working through that, and certainly it will be getting better. As to the harbor, as noted, the harbor is operational. It has been operational from within the first week after the hurricane. It sustained minimal damages. Largely it was cosmetic, some moderate stuff or minor stuff on the buildings and so, but basically it was all, it was very well guarded or protected during the hurricane. One thing at the harbor I want to let you know, that as gracious as we were prior to this point, as of the 15th, we will start back up on tariff. A lot of repairs has to happen, and now we got to start to pay the piper. So I just want to make that note to the general population also. The big issue is clearly the airport. There's nothing that happened at the airport that could have been predicted. The airport has actually had every building that is on the facility has been damaged to some degree or another. In fact, so much so that we had considered that several of them were literally write-offs. We are learning to find that we are still able to work through some of those, and I think that has now in some ways delayed the restart plan. But the good news is, if it is that, we believe that somewhere around the 15th of November that we should be able to open the airport up to commercial flights. The airport is not going to be an easy restart by no stretch of the imagination. Please, let's just understand that right now. There will be no U.S. pre-clearance at the airport, in my view, for months to come. The facilities that we will put into the airport will be temporary facilities, while we concentrate on restarting those commercial operations until we can go further with long-term planning on how the airport is re-engaged in its fullest state. What has been the good fortune of the airport, clearly, and again, this is the unpredictability of hurricanes. We don't know how it happened. We just knew that it happened. We sustained, or somehow the runway was sustained. God forbid if something had happened to that one runway, what would have been the issue here on the island at this point? The runway is intact. From days after the hurricane, we were able to take relief humanitarian flights onto the island. As you know, domestic commercial flights have been operational. General aviation aircraft providing relief are still operational. It is my understanding that there is some government implemented restriction on the airspace over Grand Bahama, so that will restrict commercial and general aviation flights for some period until that is lifted. But there is a mechanism through the Bahama Civil Aviation to waive or go through that process. The issue of commercial international flights, we understand the commercial and the business need for it. We understand the tourism impact. We understand it because it affects our supply chain in our other businesses. And so we know the import of having it. We just have to be particularly careful in what we do and wise in the way we got the airport back. I note some of the publications that come forth from it. And yeah, it's been temporary. The last temporary building we put up was there for 15 years, I must say. But we have to work through this and we have to find where it is. We know one thing, that we won't go back to business as usual at the airport. There's no point in doing some of the things that we've done, one terminal here, another terminal here, and that kind of thing. But we are firm in our plans. We have the support of our corporate shareholders that we will move ahead. And we will move ahead to the point where our focus is simply restoring the airport back to a commercial, international operation in the shortest possible time that we could do it. We are at the point where we think that we have a good plan to do it. We are actioning that plan. And when I leave here, my first stop is back at the airport to make sure that some of the things that we are trying to cement down, and starting on Sunday, we'll start to make some works on the restoration. I believe that is the key issue that or the island is interested in. And I believe that is a summation of where we are today. Additionally, at all our three businesses, including the airport, we have not retired any staff. I think that was some of the issues that I saw in some of the press. We are moving on. We don't know where it is. It's too early for those kind of thoughts. What we are doing is trying to make good the businesses as best we could in the light of what has been a catastrophic storm that the likes of we don't hope to see anytime soon. It affected customs, it affected immigration, it affected the cargo operation, it affected obviously the commercial operation, the general aviation operation. It damages some taxiways, a small bit of the taxiway. Simply all of the buildings are gone. All of the fence line at the airport are gone. And to get the airport right, we have to make it in a position where it is standard or approved by the TSA, the Transportation Safety Administration of the U.S. It's the key issue that we have to get to and to satisfy their basic requirements. We believe that we have believe that we have a plan to do that. And our date is mid-November that we should be able to restore that and make at least the logistics of commuting a little bit better on the island. That's my presentation. If there's anything else, then I'll take that up later or so on.